NBC. Do you have any idea how fast the train was going and the condition of the track at this point?
We have just downloaded the event recorders, so we have not calibrated them yet. We think it was probably close, though, to the normal speed limit.
65?
60 miles per hour for
You believe it was
passenger.
close to that speed?
At this point, we believe it was close to that speed.
And the condition of the track?
Condition of the track, is going to be a focus of the investigation. There's some indication that there was some misalignment, but we have yet to fully understand what that was and why it happened. Once we have a chance to look at the event record or the forward-facing video, we'll have a much better understanding of what the engineer, train operator saw in terms of track alignment.
Sir, ABC News, can you tell us anything about the actions of the engineer and how that may have contributed to what occurred and how his actions may have saved lives and property?
Well, the engineer, apparently from what we understand, was quite vigilant, noticed that there was something wrong with the tracks, put the train into emergency braking early in that process, and that was probably responsible for the train derailment not being any worse than it was. But we'll know a lot more about that in the next day or two.
Do you believe that action helped in this situation?
We don't know that for certain, but as I said, there's every indication that the train was being operated properly.
How often are these tracks inspected, and when's the last time this
What
portion
organization?
was inspected?
What organization are you with?
NBC News.
We understand from the Federal Railroad Administration that the tracks were inspected as recently as last Thursday. So it appears that the proper procedures are being followed for maintenance purposes. Yes.
Craig Andrews with NBC Wichita. Are you working in conjunction with the sheriff and any other local authorities about an accident that happened at or near that same location with a vehicle fairly not long before the accident, the derailment?
We are working with local authorities to understand what might have happened. We have yet to come to a reasonable understanding, but we expect to have a better understanding in the next day or two.
Do you have any reason to believe that accident, since it was on the other side of the road, would have even impacted the rail tracks? KTV out of Wichita, Chris Frank.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same answer. We are working with the local authorities to understand that.
Have you been able to find in that spot in the tracks that the engineer was talking about that may have been bent?
I've walked the tracks. We've walked the tracks with the FRA, Amtrak, and BNSF. And at this point, we've identified things like where the initial derailment occurred. But once that occurred, of course, the tracks got very torn up. So it's there's an awful lot of pieces laying out there.
You said the train also has some front-facing cameras. Can you be a little more specific about where those are?
The locomotive has a forward-looking camera, which records a running video loop. And actually, as an Amtrak train, once it goes into emergency braking, that information is captured and downloaded to Amtrak. My understanding at this point is we have a copy of that video. We've not yet had a chance to take a careful look at it. So that will help us a lot with the understanding of what the track situation was.
Craig with NBC Wichita again. Is it your understanding that the event recorder gives basically a bird's eye view of exactly what the engineer was seeing at the same time? And how soon will you get a look at that to see if maybe this engineer potentially saved some lives?
Well, there are really two recorders. The video recorder, forward-facing camera, and then the event recorder captures parameters on the locomotive. I think we've downloaded data from both of those recorders, but haven't had a chance to really audition it. At this point in the investigation, we're trying to gather as much information as we can quickly, particularly any information that's perishable.
Sean Sandifer, Wichita Public Radio. Can you confirm the number of critically injured and where they went?
I really can't confirm that. That's really information you have to get from the local authorities.
Can you explain why the front would not have derailed, but the back cars would have? Middle and back?
Well, the front cars are, particularly the two locomotives, are much heavier. And if there was a track misalignment, they would probably make it through, but in the process, kind of change the, make the track alignment change. So it's a very dynamic situation. Once you get the heavy cars through, the lighter cars don't have quite the same tracking capability.
After looking at the track and walking it, is there any thought of reducing speed on that track?
We really haven't addressed that. There's no reason to believe that the speed on that track at this point was excessive. But we certainly will be looking at the track condition, really what the speeds, if the speeds were appropriate.
Several people I talked to today said that they were just nervous about ever riding a train again. This is the third sort of major train accident in the last couple of years. Is there going to be any sort of broader investigation about just the safety of trains and train riding across the country as a result of this accident?
We certainly will be looking more as broadly as we can at, are there systemic issues that are surfacing? At this point in time, I hesitate to say that there are any systemic issues which this particular accident is a part of. Overall, the accident rate for passenger rail is really quite good, quite low. The safety is quite good.
Austin Fisher with the Garden City Telegram. Has there been any maintenance on this section of the rail related to the ongoing maintenance of the Southwest Chief using Tiger grants?
Maintenance of this section of track is something that we'll be taking a look at. It's too early to give you an answer to that.
Is that a Burlington Northern issue, or is that a your issue, maintenance of the track?
The track belongs to BNSF.
And just to clarify, you said you have information that would indicate the track had been inspected as early as last Thursday, is that correct?
Last Thursday, yes.
Okay.
I have time for one more question, and then we need to get back to our investigation.
Will you be releasing that video?
No.
When is the next briefing? Do you have an idea?
We probably will do a